Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Safa Damiati. I'm an assistant professor at the Department of Pharmaceutics, Faculty of Pharmacy at King Abdulaziz University. My talk today is about AI, a new era of digital pharma. My talk is divided into three main points. First, an introduction on big data and AI in pharma, and then a few successful examples of AI applications in drug research and development. Finally, conclusions and future prospects. By the end of my presentation, I will answer the question of big data in pharma. Is it a challenge or is it an opportunity? Well, there has been a remarkable increase in the amount of data that are generated each day, and this includes also pharmaceutical data. For example, approximately 2.5 million new scientific papers are published annually, and around 15,000 PubMed reported publications on pharmaceutical sciences in 2019 only. Also, around 40,000 PubMed reported publications on pharma in the last 10 years only. So there is an ongoing increase in the number of publications on pharma. For example, in 2019, there was around 7,000 PubMed reported publications on pharma. At the same time, there were 13,000 PubMed reported publications on artificial intelligence in 2019 only. So there is a parallel increase in the research and the publications on both pharma and artificial intelligence. Before I start with what AI is, I'd like to start with when AI started. Well, the official term artificial intelligence was first introduced by John McCarthy at the Dartmouth Conference in the summer of 1956. Since then, AI has had cycles of success as well as so-called AI winters. Recently, AI has significantly advanced and gained increasing interest in a wide range of fields, including pharma, and in different areas of pharma, such as formulations, pre-formulations, and drug design. So what is AI? Well, despite its long history, there is still no, however, mimicking human intelligence using computer systems is the basic concept of AI. There are different areas of AI, such as natural language processing, robotics, and machine learning. I will focus on machine learning because it's the most studied AI technique in pharma. Specifically, machine learning has different types, such as support vector machine, decision trees, and random forests, and artificial neural networks. I will focus on artificial neural networks because it has been widely studied in pharmaceutical sciences, for example, in drug design and discovery in pharmaceutical pre-formulations and formulations. So what is artificial neural networks? Artificial neural networks are biologically inspired computational models that mimic a biological neuron. So this is a schematic of a typical biological neuron and an artificial neural network. A typical biological neuron consists of dendrites, which compose the fine threads among neurons and carry the information to the cell, and then a cell body that contains a nucleus and controls cell activities, and finally an axon, which consists of one long thread that transports information to the next cell. Similar to human neurons, artificial neural networks consist of artificial neurons or processing elements. Typically, an artificial neural network consists of three layers: an input layer that corresponds to the dendrites, and a hidden layer that corresponds to the cell body, and finally an output layer that corresponds to the axon. So next, I will talk about a few successful examples of AI applications in drug research and development. The first example is to address an important problem in drug research and development, which is the problem of drugs' poor aqueous solubility. As a rule, any drug, in order to be absorbed, must have a certain degree of water solubility. And this is true for oral, parenteral, ophthalmic, any drug. In order to be absorbed and to ultimately to do its pharmacological effect, it has to have certain degree of water solubility. However, around 90% of drug candidates in research and development pipeline are poorly water soluble. So solubility is one of the most important physicochemical properties for drug development because poor aqueous solubility can significantly limit bioavailability, limit drugs' efficacy, necessitate administration of higher doses, increase the chances of side effects, and increase cost per patient. For example, indomethacin. Indomethacin is a potent non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. It's used to relieve pain and in different conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. However, indomethacin has poor aqueous solubility. Its solubility in water is less than 1 milligram per ml. Well, there are different methods or techniques to improve the aqueous solubility of drugs, such as using surfactants and complexation. One of the possible solutions is to use hydrotrophs. Hydrotrophs are amphiphilic in nature. Amphiphilic means that their structure has both two regions. One is hydrophilic or polar or water-liking region, and the other region is hydrophobic or non-polar or water-hating region. A typical example of a hydrotroph is sodium benzoate. So as you can see, the structure of sodium benzoate has two regions, a polar region, and the ring is a non-polar region. So hydrotrophs can enhance the apparent solubility of poorly water-soluble drug molecules in water. Well, although hydrotrophs have been recognized more than a century ago, their mechanism of solubility enhancement is poorly understood. So usually hydrotrophs are investigated by screening a large number of hydrotrophs together with different hydrophobic molecules or drugs. So what we've done is that we developed a machine learning application using artificial neural network for prediction of hydrotroph enhanced solubilization of drugs. We screened experimentally a set of hydrotrophs and we determined their solubilization capacity for the drug indomethacin. What we've got is a here in the figure, in the x-axis, the hydrotroph concentration, and on the y-axis is indomethacin concentration. So we determine the solubility enhancement of indomethacin using different hydrotrophs at different hydrotroph concentrations. So as shown here, the solubilization using hydrotrophs is complex, and there is no consistent pattern of the increase in the solubility using different hydrotrophs, and it's non-linear, which makes it a good candidate to be modeled using artificial neural networks. So we developed an ANN model. We trained the model using the experimental data together with several physical chemical properties of the hydrotrophs. What we've got is a good correlation between observed and predicted solubility of indomethacin enhanced by hydrotrophs with R-square value of 0.998. Ultimately, we used the trained and validated ANN model to predict a new external data set of potential or prospective molecules as hydrotrophs. Eventually, we were able to identify what is called an ideal hydrotroph for indomethacin. So this was the first example of AI application in pharma. The second application we developed is for prediction of membrane insertion potential of cell-penetrating peptides. Well, as shown here, cell-penetrating peptides are often transporter systems that can carry different therapeutic agents from extracellular to intracellular. Usually, the efficiency of cell-penetrating peptides is investigated using extensive laboratory experiments and using screening of several cell-penetrating peptides of different structure. So what we've did is that we developed a machine learning application to predict the membrane insertion potential of a set of cell-penetrating peptides using three different membrane models. And what we've got is a good correlation between observed and predicted maximum change in surface pressure, which is an indication of the efficiency of the cell-penetrating peptides. Here also, we used the trained and validated machine learning model to predict the cell-penetrating peptides efficiency of a new set of potential cell-penetrating peptides, which we also confirmed experimentally. So the third example here in using AI application in drug research and development is related to the current pandemic of COVID-19, which has been developed by Benevolent AI, which is a UK-based drug development company. They use AI to help find new medicines for a number of serious diseases. So at present, although the first AI-designed drug has not reached the market yet, there is an ongoing race to find a treatment for the current COVID-19 pandemic. AI plays an important role in the ongoing efforts by identifying potential molecules that could be used as anti-COVID-19 drugs. For example, Benevolent AI, they reported the use of machine learning to identify drugs for COVID-19, in which clinical trials are already underway. So in conclusion, AI and machine learning are promising tools in drug research and development. Extensive laboratory experimentations, time, and costs can be significantly reduced using machine learning techniques, and more insight into various problems in drug research can be explored using AI and machine learning. So this brings me to my question. Big data in pharma, is it a challenge or is it an opportunity? It's definitely both. It's a challenge and it is an opportunity. It's a challenge because of the massive increase in the amount of data that are generated daily. These data are diverse, they are complex, they come from different sources and different types, for example, from textbooks and publications, social media, user-generated content, electronic health records, genomics, and sensor data, sensor networks, and others. And at the same time, it's an opportunity with AI. So with a sufficient amount of carefully curated data, building high-value applications using advancing AI algorithms is an opportunity to solve the many challenges in drug research and development with efficient, fast, and economical solutions. Finally, so it's a challenge and an opportunity. Finally, I'd like to thank all my collaborators, and I'd like to thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Safa, for the nice presentation. Now we open the floor for any question from the attendees. Yes, Engineer Majid, please. Saudi mobile host, would you please give him the... Please authorize him to speak.
Thank you, Dr. Safa, for this impressive presentation. And you mentioned at the beginning the statistics of the research In total, that's 2.5 million in all subjects, and the research for the AI and also for the pharmaceutical. I just want to say about the new drugs that has to be approved by the authorities. Like in the United States, we have the FDA, and in Europe, each country have their own, and also in the European Union, there is also European Union, like an FDA equal to the United States and Japan and in China. There are a lot of drugs. They are developed for a gene in the genome context of each person in the DNA. And a lot of diseases, maybe there is a problem in the gene itself. But the problem in the regulatory authorities maybe took a long time to approve that drug. Like a drug is generated by big companies like Pfizer or others. And in China, they have it less than that and easier steps. So do you think that it's needed, the regulations for the authorities has to be reset again in order to have a quick approval for the drugs generated by pharmaceutical companies? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Well, FDA, they raised initial steps to address this. For example, they have like new guidelines to be revised yet in order to evaluate each machine learning model that someone is developing. Hello?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Yes.
Yes. So I was saying that FDA have new guidelines to address this issue. So if, for example, for any modification of a machine learning model, it has to be revised regularly. For example, when changing the data set and when changing any step in the training of a machine learning model, it has to be re-evaluated and they compare it with a new device.
Yeah, I mean, now there is an error, and I come across a paper that 2013, that the personalized medicine, which is a new way of designing the approval of each medicine developed by pharmaceutical industries, that it will be tailored for each person. So this requires mainly the review of the regulations that has been set by the medical authorities like FDA in the United States or in Europe or in Japan or in China. So what is the latest in this?
On personalized medicine and AI?
Yes, I mean, personalized medicine, because we are dealing with data, and your first question, you are talking about big data. Big data is generated by each person, that you generate his DNA and you analyze his DNA, so you have to store his data, and then you use his data to...
To be honest, I'm not sure about specifically personalized medicine and AI.
No, I'm talking about the pharmaceutical industry itself. When they develop a medicine from a gene, not what we call it, the chemical chemical base. So this is the main issue regarding the genome, and this is the AI where it works with the developing of the analyzing of the data for each person in order to design that medicine developed for him. Suppose I'll give you an example. If there is a leukemia in the blood, so maybe the adults, they can die, or they can have another chance, which is very, very rarely. But with the genome, they can have a third chance. And there is, a registered case in that. And they use all the computers and the machines that they analyze the data through the AI. I'm not sure if my question is clear.
I will repeat it to make sure that I understand correctly. So your question is that, is it possible that we can develop AI applications using genomic data for personal medicine?
Yes, that's it.
Yes, the answer is yes. I don't have at the moment data at hand, but it has been used in a similar cases. But unfortunately, I don't have the data at hand right at the moment.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to come to, that the regulations, the regulatory bodies, they have to change their regularities in order to speed up the process for approval.
Can I interact with you,
Yes.
Doctor? Yeah, I think what you've been mentioning is 100% absolutely right. And with the emergence of AI into the medical sector, there is going to be huge changes in regulation. There is going to be huge changes in the pharmaceutical also techniques. It is going to be to speed up the process for sure, because normally we understand that it takes about 12 years maybe for approval. Now we can see what is happening during the epidemic of COVID-19 and how people are reacting to this worldwide. Of course, what is happening in the development of the vaccine nowadays, it is also associated with AI. Otherwise, it won't be approved or it won't be legalized within a very short period of time. This is my expectations, at least. And I let Dr. Safa also comment on.
Thank you, Dr.
Thanks, Dr. Bouthman. I'd like to add that here comes the validation. So any AI application or machine learning application should be validated first and then tested. And this could give a good indication for regularities as well. So as I shown for the examples that I've discussed here, the machine learning models, they must be validated first and then ideally tested on external data sets.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other question, please? Thank you very much, Dr. Safa, for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. We appreciate your time and we look forward to see you with us again.
Thank you.